Questions? It's actually not about union workers at all. It's about certified workers, electrical certification. And we really borrow from the same kinds of standards that are in place for things that involve wiring a residence or a business. The kind of ratios that are required in terms of the certification are just like that. So if you're going to build a big business in the San Luis Valley, you're going to have the same kind of ratio now that you have to have for certain sizes of projects. The size of the project will determine the ratio of the certified workers, but that's not about unions. Unions just happen to be the very best at developing the programs for the national certification that is going to be required by the bill. Other questions? Budget, this isn't about the bill. Guess I'm not shocked. Go ahead.
So, as you're well aware, there's, the Senate now is the process is tax actions. So, Republicans are putting forth, they say it's a list of all of the cuts that they're going to propose in lieu of those. Have you looked at that, or are you willing to back off of any of the tax exemptions or credits? Go a different route. Also, if those tax exemptions and cuts don't make it part or all through the process, where would you cut? K-12 take another cut? They're saying, you have 100 instead of 100.
Try and make my answer shorter than your question. A couple of things about that, Tim. We've been involved in this since the downturn, in figuring out how we balance budgets, 3 separate fiscal years, and really there has not been meaningful participation by the folks on the other side. And my friends on the other side have had plenty of opportunities to come in and discuss suggestions, make proposals, and they haven't done that. And so we've crafted our proposals for how to do that. We closed better than a $2 billion shortfall over 2 fiscal years. We have another $1 billion plus shortfall for 10-11. We made a proposal, and now they have ideas that they want to bring to the table. We'll entertain those ideas. I'll look at their bill. I'll look at what, in fact, might be done, might be gained from that. But just because they come in at the 11th hour with a new set of proposals doesn't mean that suddenly the dialogue changes. We have a proposal in place where these credits and exemptions and the removal of them on a temporary basis must take place by March the 1st in order for us to balance. So it's not just at the 11th hour, it's at 5 minutes to midnight that they bring me these proposals and want to now engage after we have invited them time after time after time over the last year and a half to do just that. And I'm not going to answer the hypothetical about what happens if. We'll wait and see what happens when these move through the Senate. Our hope is that the package passes, and it passes intact as it did out of the House. There's been discussion about some different amendments that might be appropriate. I know they're considering those amendments, and so we'll see what the fiscal note is in terms of the savings occasioned by those exemptions and credits, and then make decisions about how to balance for this fiscal year 9-10. Joe. No, and here's why, Joe. They were left out of Amendment 37 completely. They were inserted in our efforts in 2007. They were given a 10% standard. They provide about 40%, a little bit less than 40% electricity. Statewide, XL and Black Hills together provide well over 60%. And so XL and Black Hills, they have the ability to get to our 20% by 2015. So we're years ahead. I think the Rural Electric Association is still moving in that direction, but we didn't feel it was appropriate to put in place a new standard for them to really focus on what we can do with the investor-owned utilities. They have, the Renewable Energy Association largely has been helpful in this dialogue. There are some REAs who still, I think, not understood what I believe is the value of the new energy economy to the state. And so for our purposes, it was important to work with the investor-owned utilities and work certainly with those that are guided by the PUC, and that's Excel and that's Black Hills, and this is just such a big step forward to get this done. 30% of the investor-owned utilities.
Can you talk a little bit about what this bill would do for like small solar and some of the smaller companies?
Well, that's two different questions because there's small solar but big companies, and then there are small solar companies, and really by having a carve out for distributed generation that says 3% of your retail sales is going to be defined as distributed generation, which is under 30 megawatts. It's still a significantly sized project, but we think that was an important thing to do as a part of this bill, to do a DG carve out, because there's a lot that can impact transmission lines by having a DG carve out, but there's also, I think, incentives that can be put in place to incentivize the build out of rooftop solar for residents and businesses, and then just these smaller plants. And it's not just solar; it's wind, it's geothermal, and hydro. You heard Representative Tyler talk about that. So for our purposes, there are a couple different things. The distributed generation carve out and the market segmentation that are in the bill are both things that will, we think, provide sort of the right mix of really large renewable energy projects and then smaller projects that involve what's defined as distributed generation. Steve?
Not sure, but maybe with the electrical certification process, is it possible to go in and get training without going to training classes out there and get nationally certified without?
Oh yeah, there's plenty of programs out there, but none that I would argue are as qualified as the programs that are the apprenticeship programs that run through the IBW Electrical Workers Apprenticeship Hall. And I welcome anybody that would like to go tour the facility to ask me. I'm glad to set that up.
How many union members are there for
What's that? Over 4,000. It's that. But the community college systems, there's vocational schools that all provide those certification programs. What Mike says, I think most people involved in this process agree with, the best certification is the apprenticeship program through IBEW, and really take him up on his offer. It's really true that the apprenticeship program there just provides, I think, excellent craftsmanship on the part of the people who complete it and then go on to be certified. Well, thank you all. I really appreciate it. It's a great day for Colorado. Thanks.